You ever find yourself drained, not because of the work you did, but because of the people you tried to carry? Let's talk. Because I'm not here to be cute, I'm here to break chains. Too many of us are being too friendly to people who came to destroy our peace. And while you're out here smiling, saying yes to everyone, God is whispering, I never told you to open your door like that. Let me say this with love. You've been taught your whole life that being friendly is the key. Smile at everyone. Say yes to every request. Be available. Be nice. Don't ruffle feathers. Keep the peace, even when it costs your voice. And somewhere along the way, you confused being friendly with giving access. But let me tell you something loud enough so the version of you that keeps getting walked over can finally hear it. Just because I'm kind does not mean I am available. See, we live in a culture where we've glamorized friendliness to the point of self-neglect. We hand out pieces of ourselves like business cards, smiling through discomfort, laughing through disrespect, and saying it's okay, when deep down it's not. You've been giving VIP access to people who don't even have general admission behavior. And then you wonder why your peace is unstable, why your energy is low, why your mind is cluttered, baby. It's not spiritual warfare. Sometimes it's just poor access control. Imagine this. You're at a concert. There are seats in the back, standing room only. There are rows up front. Then there's backstage. Only certain people, people with clearance, people with trust, people who went through vetting, get backstage. Now ask yourself, why are you letting people backstage in your life who didn't even buy a ticket to support you? Your heart is not a public park. Your time is not a community playground. Your soul is not a customer service desk. But when you confuse friendliness with access, you turn sacred space into a revolving door. Anyone can walk in, anyone can take, and not everyone who enters intends to invest. Some came to inspect, to infect, or to interrupt your flow. Think about the people in your life right now. How many of them are there because you felt bad saying no? How many of them are draining you, distracting you, disrespecting you, and yet you keep letting them in, smiling the whole time, telling yourself it's love? That's not love. That's self-betrayal dressed in social norms. You don't owe access to everyone who's nice to you. You don't owe access to people just because they knew you back when. You don't owe access to family members who use guilt as a leash. You don't owe access to coworkers who only come around when they need a favor. Love people, yes. Be kind, absolutely. But guard your gates like your life depends on it, because it does. There are some folks who should only have hallway access in your life. They can wave, they can say hello, but they don't get to come in and rearrange furniture. They don't get to sit on your couch, eat from your table, and critique your walls when they didn't lift a finger to help you build it. Stop giving away intimacy to people who only bring inconsistency. Stop giving conversation to people who never bring contribution. Just because someone claps for you in public doesn't mean they root for you in private. Just because they compliment you doesn't mean they care for you. Some people show up with smiles and leave with secrets. And here you are calling it friendship, calling it connection, calling it love, when all it really is access you never should have granted. Take a moment and think of the times you felt used. You gave your all. You shared your dreams. You opened up, and when you needed them, they vanished like fog in sunlight. Not because they were evil. No, some of them were just never meant to be in your sacred spaces. But you thought being friendly meant being open, being helpful, being always there. You've got to understand that being loving doesn't mean being passive. Being compassionate doesn't mean being careless with your own heart. Being generous doesn't mean letting leeches linger. Jesus fed the multitudes, but he still withdrew to recharge. He healed the masses, but he had boundaries. He knew when to speak and when to be silent. He knew who was worthy of dinner and who would get the parable from a distance. You need discernment, not guilt. You need boundaries, not explanations. You need to be okay with people misunderstanding you if it means protecting your peace, your healing, your growth, your sanity. They are too precious to hand over for the sake of friendliness. So the next time someone makes you feel guilty for protecting your space, remind yourself, being friendly is not an invitation. Being kind is not a green light. Being warm-hearted does not equal wide open. You can smile and say no. You can love and still keep a lock on your door. You can be friendly without letting everybody in. You ever wake up in the morning already exhausted, not because of the day ahead, but because of the weight of being who everyone expects you to be? That silent pressure to show up perfect, agreeable, smiling, available, responsive, understanding, all while your own soul is gasping for air? That's not kindness. That's not humility. That's not spiritual maturity. That's people pleasing, and it's killing your purpose right in front of your face. People pleasing is not about love. It's not about generosity. It's not about being a good person. It's about fear. Fear of being misunderstood, fear of being disliked, fear of not being enough. And fear will fool you into putting your assignment on pause so you can keep someone else comfortable. But comfort is not your calling. Purpose is. See, you can't fulfill destiny and serve ego at the same time. One of them has to die. Either their opinion of you dies or your dream does. Either their comfort dies or your calling suffocates. You can't be everything to everybody and still be true to who you are. Some of us are exhausted, not from labor, but from performing. You've said yes when you meant no. You've shown up when your body said rest. You've kept silent when your spirit screamed to speak. And why? So people wouldn't label you difficult? So they'd keep calling you sweet? So you could maintain a peace that was never real in the first place? That peace you're protecting is not peace. It's a performance. It's built on silence, on pretending, on betraying yourself in small ways every single day. And every time you choose their comfort over your clarity, their approval over your truth, their affection over your authenticity, a part of you dies slowly, quietly, and we call it being nice. Let me ask you, when did your purpose become negotiable? When did your dreams become optional? When did your identity become so flexible that you could twist it into whatever people needed you to be just to avoid disappointing them? And worse, when did disappointment become something you thought you couldn't survive? Let me tell you something raw and real. You can disappoint people and still be in the will of God. You can say no and still be loved by heaven. You can walk away and still be chosen. You were not created to be everyone's favorite. You were not born to be everyone's helper. You were not designed to make everyone feel okay while you slowly disappear. Sometimes people pleasing looks holy, but it's really just self-erasure. And the enemy loves that. He doesn't need to destroy you if he can just distract you with a constant need for validation. He doesn't have to wreck your life if he can just stretch you thin chasing applause. Because if you're busy playing peacekeeper, you'll never become the warrior you were created to be. Think about Moses. God called him to lead, but if he'd waited for the people's approval, they'd still be in Egypt. Think about Esther. She had to risk being misunderstood by stepping into her role. Jesus himself, he was rejected by the very people he came to save. The crowd said Hosanna on Sunday and crucify him by Friday. So if you're living for the crowd, just know they are fickle. 1 minute they love you, the next they leave you. And still we bend, still we break, still we show up smiling when we're hurting, still we say it's fine when it's not. We carry the weight of everyone else's expectations and call it strength. But real strength is found in honesty, boundaries, alignment, courage. Some of y'all are out here editing your light because you don't want people to feel small around you, shrinking your power because someone might say you're too much, downplaying your ideas because you don't want to intimidate anyone. But what if I told you that your too much is exactly the fire your purpose needs to ignite? Stop letting guilt run your calendar. Stop letting fear write your captions. Stop letting approval steer your decisions. You are not a puppet for public comfort. You are a divine force with a unique assignment, and that assignment doesn't require a committee to validate it. It requires boldness, conviction, obedience, and yes, even rejection. You will lose some people when you stop people pleasing. That's the truth. But baby, you'll find yourself. You'll find clarity. You'll find the path again. You'll wake up and breathe without the weight. You'll finally hear God's voice louder than the opinions. And for the first time, maybe in years, you'll feel alive again. Not because everyone clapped, but because you finally chose truth over performance, purpose over approval, and obedience over opinion. And the moment you do that, everything changes. Let's talk about something most people avoid but desperately need: boundaries. Not the weak whispered kind you apologize for, but the bold, holy, unapologetic kind that guards your peace like a lion at the gate. See, boundaries aren't just for emotional health. They are sacred. They are spiritual. They are necessary. And let me tell you, some of the mess in your life right now is not because of the enemy. It's because you refuse to close the gate. Boundaries are not about keeping people out. They are about keeping your purpose in. They are the fences that protect your calling from being trampled by chaos. The lines that tell the world, I'm not for sale. I'm not always accessible. I am not required to bleed just to prove I care. And if that makes people uncomfortable, good. Comfort has never been the measure of truth. You teach people how to treat you by what you allow. Every time you say yes when your soul says no. Every time you show up when your body begs for rest. Every time you give another chance when someone has shown you who they are, you send a message. I don't matter as much as you do. And that right there is how burnout begins. That is how bitterness is born. That is how resentment takes root in your spirit while your mouth still smiles. Let's make it plain. If someone walked into your house and started going through your fridge, your drawers, your closet without asking, how would you react? You'd stop them. You'd feel violated, disrespected, because that's your home, your personal space. But how many of us allow people to do the same thing with our emotions, our time, our energy? Just barge in, take what they want, leave a mess, and walk away. And what do? We call it love, we call it grace, we call it loyalty. No, that's not love. That's self-abandonment. That's putting everyone else on pedestals while you live at ground level, hoping someone notices you're tired, that you're bleeding, that you're not okay. But let me set you free right now. You are allowed to protect your peace, even if it disappoints people. Boundaries are not walls to keep love out. They are doors to let love in with discernment. You don't have to let everyone have full access to you. Jesus didn't. Yes, he loved the masses. He fed the thousands, but he also withdrew. He also got in a boat and went to the other side. He also spent time alone. He protected his oil. He guarded his mission. And if the Son of God needed boundaries, what makes you think you don't? Some of y'all are waiting for people to stop using you, but people won't stop taking advantage if they don't know there's a line they can't cross. Some of y'all are waiting to be valued, but you're handing yourself out like a free sample. No wonder folks don't see your worth. They never had to earn access to it. You want to be respected, draw the line. You want to protect it, define the space. You want to grow, guard your garden, because purpose is fragile when it's unprotected. Your gift was never meant to be exposed to everything and everyone. Even diamonds are kept in cases. Even gold is refined in fire, then sealed. I know. It feels hard at first. You'll feel selfish. You'll feel guilty. You've been conditioned to believe that a good heart never says no. But let me tell you the truth. A good heart with no boundaries becomes a broken heart. A heart that gets trampled by obligations and drained by constant availability. You are not responsible for everyone's comfort. You are not the fixer, the savior, the solution to every problem. It is not your job to catch every falling piece. Your job is to walk in obedience. Your job is to honor your assignment. And sometimes that means saying, I can't today. I won't tolerate that. This is not okay with me, not out of anger, but out of alignment. People who love you will respect your boundaries. People who benefit from your lack of them will get mad. And that's how you know who really sees you. That's how you find out who's there for you and who's there for the version of you that never says no, never complains, never pushes back. Your healing needs space. Your clarity needs stillness. Your Purpose needs protection, and all of that begins with boundaries. Strong, clear, unapologetic, God-ordained boundaries. Not because you're mean, not because you're distant, but because you're finally learning to value what's on the inside of you more than the opinions surrounding you. There are some storms in your life that didn't come from the enemy. They came from who you let ride in your boat. Let that sink in. You keep asking God why the waters are so rough, why the direction feels unclear, why your peace keeps slipping through your fingers like sand. And God is whispering, it's not the journey, it's the company. Because wrong connections will cost you more than you think. You see, not everyone who walks with you is meant to walk for you. Some people are not friends, they are weights. Some relationships don't carry your calling, they crush it. But because we're loyal, we stay. Because we're loving, we tolerate. Because we're hopeful, we keep handing out extensions on expired connections. And every time we do, we pay a price in silence. Some of y'all are bankrupt in your spirit, not because you're not gifted, not because you're not anointed, but because you've stayed connected to people who drain more than they deposit. And you call it commitment, you call it faithfulness, but what it really is fear of being alone. Let me tell you something. Isolation is not the same as loneliness. Sometimes God has to clear the room to fill you up. Sometimes he has to disconnect you from who you thought you needed to connect you with what you truly need. But you've been dragging along relationships that have no oil, no purpose, no fruit, just history. And history doesn't qualify someone to stay in your future. Think about Jonah. When he was running from his assignment, he boarded a ship and brought his storm with him. The sailors on that boat weren't rebellious. They were just connected to someone who was. And because they let Jonah ride, they almost died. Some of y'all are in storms right now, not because you're doing anything wrong, but because you got the wrong passenger. You're carrying somebody that God told to sit down. You're covering someone that God already exposed. And you're paying for a storm that ain't even yours. I'm talking about those relationships that feel good in the moment but always leave you empty. I'm talking about that friend that claps in your face but competes behind your back. I'm talking about that connection that looks like support but smells like sabotage. You keep letting them in, keep explaining away the red flags, keep shrinking your light so they won't feel insecure. And you think you're being noble. No, baby. You're being drained. Your destiny is too valuable to be shared with the wrong company. You can't build a kingdom with people who secretly hope it crumbles. You can't reach your next level if you're tied to people who are only loyal to your past. Some people love the version of you that's broken because your healing might hold them accountable. Some people celebrate your struggle because your strength would outgrow them. That's why discernment is everything. It's not just about who's around you, it's about who's aligned with you, because not every hand that reaches for you is helping. Some hands are pulling you back, some are slowing you down, and some are holding you hostage to who you used to be. And you gotta have the courage to say, I love you, but I can't carry you anymore. You've got to stop justifying dysfunction because of how long you've known someone. But they were there when I was at my lowest, yes. And now they're blocking you from your highest. But they've been through so much, yes. But that doesn't give them a license to wound you. But I don't want to seem disloyal. Let me tell you, the most loyal thing you can do is obey God, not people. You are not responsible for dragging dead weight into destiny. You are not required to take everyone with you. Some people are only anointed to be part of your story for a season, and when the season ends, forcing them to stay becomes rebellion against your own growth. It's time to clean house. It's time to take inventory. Who brings peace into your space? Who prays for you without being asked? Who pushes you to grow? Now ask yourself, who drains you? Who manipulates you? Who only shows up when they need something? And if you're afraid of cutting those ties, ask yourself this: what has it cost you to keep them? Has it cost you sleep, clarity, self-respect, time, purpose? Has it made you question your worth, compromise your values, miss your moments? You were never called to be be everyone's savior. You were never called to babysit brokenness while yours goes untreated. Your circle should sharpen you, not stab you. It should lift you, not leave you empty. And your future, it depends on your ability to let go of wrong connections before they cost you everything. You don't need more time. You need more discipline. Because the truth is, the life you're praying for, the future you're dreaming of, the version of you that you keep seeing in your spirit, it's not waiting on a perfect moment. It's waiting on a focused mind. But focus can't survive in a heart that keeps flirting with distraction. Distraction is not just scrolling through your phone. Distraction is letting drama live rent-free in your mind. Distraction is giving your energy to people who don't feed your purpose. Distraction is saying yes to things that water down your identity. And the scariest part, distraction often looks like opportunity. It dresses itself up in urgency. It pretends to be necessary, but its real goal is to detour you from destiny. You see, discipline is divine strategy. It's saying no now so you can say yes to something greater later. It's waking up early when your flesh screams for sleep. It's showing up for yourself when no one's clapping. It's doing the work even when the results are invisible. And that kind of consistency, that's not common. That's not trending. That's warfare. You have an enemy who doesn't need to destroy you if he can just distract you. If he can't stop your gift, he'll steal your gaze. He'll send the wrong people, the wrong opportunities, the wrong timing, all to keep you misaligned and misfocused. You think the temptation is always sin, but sometimes the enemy will tempt you with something good just to keep you from what's God. Let me ask you, how many times have you been this close to breakthrough only to take your eyes off the assignment? How many times have you said, I'll start tomorrow, but tomorrow came and your excuses shouted louder than your commitment? You've got books in you, businesses, ministries, movements, but they're sitting on the shelf of when I feel ready. And discipline doesn't wait on feeling, it moves on conviction. Discipline is what keeps you in the gym when your body says quit. It's what keeps you writing that book when no one's reading. It's what keeps you praying when answers feel delayed. It's what keeps you building when the crowd walks away. Because you don't build greatness on convenience, you build it on consistency. You want to be different, you want to be set apart, then stop asking God for results you aren't willing to discipline yourself for. You don't become who you're called to be by hoping. You become it by training, and training requires pain. It requires repetition. It requires sacrifice. And that sacrifice is where most people bow out. People love the idea of success. They love the dream. But discipline is lonely, it's uncomfortable, it's slow, it's waking up while others sleep, it's turning down the party, it's leaving the text unread, it's saying not right now, I've got somewhere to be, and that somewhere is my future. We keep asking God for elevation, but won't develop the habits to sustain it, because elevation without preparation becomes exposure. God's not going to bless you with a platform your habits will collapse. He's not going to hand you influence your discipline can't carry. That's why some of you feel stuck. It's not punishment, it's preparation. He's trying to build your character before he releases your calling. Discipline is the secret sauce of transformation. Not talent, not popularity, not connections, just raw, unfiltered daily obedience. And that obedience will cost you. It'll cost your comfort. It'll cost your cravings. It'll cost the version of you that wants to be liked more than it wants to be used. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, you're voting for the version of you you've never met, but were always meant to become. You're moving toward clarity, momentum, favor. But every time you choose distraction, you delay your development. You stay in cycles. You repeat patterns. You wonder why your life feels stuck on replay. It's because discipline was never allowed to drive. You want to know what real power is? It's saying, no, I'm not going to scroll for another hour. I'm going to write the business plan. No, I'm not going to gossip. I'm going to journal and pray. No, I'm not going to spend today reacting. I'm going to spend it building. Discipline isn't glamorous. Doesn't come with applause. It's not sexy. but it's what will separate you in a generation obsessed with instant gratification. This world is full of distracted people who started strong but never finished, people with ideas but no follow through, vision but no habits, drive but no direction. And the ones who rise, the ones who actually change things, they didn't get lucky. They got discipline, because discipline is the bridge between who you are and who you're becoming. And every step you take in focus, in order, in self-control, that's a step closer to purpose. That's a step further from chaos. That's a decision to become the version of you that doesn't just dream big, but walks it out day by day, hour by hour, choice by choice, with fire in your bones and destiny on your heels. Loyalty is beautiful until it becomes bond. Some of you are broken right now, not because you weren't strong enough, not because you didn't pray enough, but because you stayed loyal to people who were draining you dry. You gave your heart, your time, your energy, your tears, hoping that your consistency would fix what was never yours to carry. And now you're wondering why you feel empty, why you feel stuck, why you keep bleeding in places that were supposed to be safe. Let me tell you something real. Loyalty to the wrong people will break you. It will wear down your spirit while convincing you it's noble. It will twist your discernment until you mistake dysfunction for destiny. You will keep watering dead things, thinking that maybe, just maybe, they'll come back to life if you love them hard enough. But love was never meant to be sacrificed without boundaries. We've been taught that loyalty is staying, no matter that it's riding for people even when they're not going anywhere, that it's silence when we should speak, endurance when we should exit. But that's not loyalty. That's self-betrayal wrapped in emotional debt. You're not obligated to stay where you're not honored. You don't owe lifetime access to people who only show up when it's convenient for them. And no, history doesn't equal destiny. Just because they were there in one season doesn't mean they're meant for the next. Some people were scaffolding, not foundation. They were part of the construction, but they're not supposed to remain when the building is complete. But we struggle to let go. We say, but they were there when I had nothing. They helped me through my darkest days. Yes, and maybe they did. But here's the question. Are they still helping you grow now? Or are they holding you hostage to who you used to be? Because loyalty that demands you stay small, silent, or stuck is not loyalty, it's manipulation. Think of Samson. He had strength no one could touch, favor from God, purpose in his bones. But his loyalty to Delilah, to someone who repeatedly proved she didn't have his best interests at heart, cost him everything. His vision, his freedom, his life. Not because he lacked power, but because he gave his trust to someone who weaponized his vulnerability. That's what the wrong connections will do. They'll love the parts of you that serve them and sabotage the parts of you that scare them. Some of you are loyal to people who fear your growth. Every time you evolve, they guilt you back into your old ways. They call your boundaries selfish. They call your distance disrespect. But the truth is, your becoming exposes their comfort zone, and rather than rise with you, they'd rather keep you chained to the version of you they can control. You keep waiting for them to change. You keep trying to prove your worth. You keep playing peacemaker in a war that was never yours to begin with. And all the while your soul is screaming, can we please let go now? Can we stop giving CPR to something God already called time of death on? Listen to me. You are not disloyal for outgrowing a relationship. You are not a traitor for choosing peace. You are not wrong for realizing that some people only loved you when you were broken, dependent, manageable. That's not love. That's control. And control doesn't deserve your loyalty. True loyalty flows two ways. It honors, it uplifts, it protects. If you're the only one covering, the only one caring, the only one sacrificing, that's not a relationship, that's a trap. That's a cycle. And cycles don't end until you decide they're over. Some of you have poured so much into the wrong people that you've got nothing left for the right ones. You've given so much energy to proving yourself to folks who still don't see you that you've forgotten how to see yourself. And that's exactly how the enemy wants it. Distracted by dysfunctional loyalty so you miss the divine alignment waiting for you. Let me make it plain. You cannot be loyal to your assignment and attached to people who oppose it. You can't chase purpose while clinging to people who pull you into patterns. You can't become who God called you to be if you're still trying to keep everyone else comfortable. Some relationships are not meant to be maintained. They are meant to be mourned. Yes, it hurts. Yes, letting go is a funeral of expectation. But what's worse? Living your whole life giving loyalty to people who never had the capacity to love you right. Being so faithful to broken spaces that you forfeit your breakthrough. Saying yes to familiar pain when freedom is just one no away. You've got too much on the inside of you to waste it on people who don't honor it. You've cried too many tears, prayed too many prayers, walked through too many battles to stay loyal to what God has been trying to deliver you from. And if that means walking alone for a while, let it be. Sometimes solitude is the sanctuary where strength is reborn. Sometimes the silence is where God finally speaks, because you're not drowning in the noise of people who were never meant to have your ear in the first place. You are allowed to love people and still leave. You are allowed to honor the past without staying trapped in it. You are allowed to choose healing over history, because loyalty to the wrong people won't just delay your destiny. It will break your heart, blur your vision, and bury your purpose if you let it. Love isn't always soft. It's not always roses and reassurance. Sometimes love shows up with fire in its eyes and a sword in its hand. Sometimes love doesn't whisper comfort. It screams, "Get up." Love doesn't always hold your hand through the storm. Sometimes it throws you into the deep because it knows you've been standing in shallow water for far too long. And if that makes you uncomfortable, good, because real love is not about comfort. Real love is about growth. We've been taught that love is supposed to feel good all the time, that it's soft words, safe spaces, constant validation. But let me tell you something, love is also correction. Love is confrontation. Love is accountability. Love will pull you aside and say, you're better than this version of you. I refuse to watch you shrink, settle, or sabotage what God put inside you. You think love is soft? Then you've never had a friend look you in the eye and call out your cycle. You've never had someone love you enough to risk your offense for the sake of your freedom. You've never had someone challenge your comfort zone, not because they wanted to hurt you, but because they saw something in you that you didn't even believe in yet. See, we love soft love because it doesn't stretch us. It doesn't challenge our dysfunction. It lets us stay exactly where we are. But soft love alone doesn't raise kings. It doesn't unlock queens. It doesn't push destiny out of hiding. Sometimes love has to shake the ground you're standing on so you stop building on brokenness. Think of a mother. A real mother doesn't just hug you when you cry. She also disciplines you when you act out. She doesn't just feed you. She teaches you how to cook. She doesn't just give you the answers. She teaches you how to find them, because she's not raising a child to depend on her forever. She's raising a warrior. She's raising a survivor. That's not soft love. That's strong love. Strong love says, no, I won't let you settle for less. Strong love says, I see your potential, but I won't excuse your procrastination. Strong love says, I'm not clapping for your excuses. I'm calling out your excellence. And yes, it stings, but it also saves. The people who love you the most will not always tell you what you want to hear. They'll tell you what you need to hear. They won't always pat your back. Sometimes they'll grab your shoulders and shake you awake. They'll say, you've been sleeping on yourself for too long. You've been playing small in rooms you were born to command. You've been making excuses when you were called to make history. But because we've mistaken love for approval, we reject the people who challenge us and chase the ones who flatter us. We chase soft words that feed our ego but starve our growth, and we call that loyalty. No, baby. That's emotional manipulation wrapped in fake love. True love builds. Even when it breaks you first, even when it cuts through your comfort, it's always cutting to heal. Think of a surgeon. When he takes a scalpel to your skin, he's not trying to harm you. He's trying to remove the thing that's been poisoning you, but the cut still hurts. Healing still requires pain. That's what real love looks like. It hurts when it needs to because it refuses to let you stay sick. Some of you have walked away from people who actually loved you because they didn't let you lie to yourself. You called them harsh. You said they didn't support you. But the truth is they refused to co-sign your destruction. They weren't trying to control you. They were trying to call you up. Love doesn't always sound like you're amazing. Sometimes it sounds like you're wrong. Sometimes it sounds like you're running. Sometimes it sounds like you're wasting time. And you can either get offended or you can get free, but you can't have both. You know what else love does? Love walks away when it's time. It doesn't always stay to prove a point. It doesn't always carry the weight of people who refuse to grow. Sometimes love has to leave so the other person can finally face themselves. That's not cold. That's not cruel. That's a love that understands boundaries. A love that says, I'll always want the best for you, but I can't destroy myself to deliver it. We've confused love with enabling. We think if we say no, we're being selfish. If we challenge someone, we're being judgmental. But that's not truth. Truth is sometimes the most loving thing you can do is disrupt someone's comfort. Truth is love is not afraid to offend when freedom is on the line. Stop searching for love that never corrects you. Stop idolizing softness when what you need is strength. Stop believing that if it's love, it should always feel easy. Because love isn't always soft. Sometimes love is the hardest thing in the room. And still, it's the only thing that will make you whole. You've heard every word. You felt the truth pressing on your chest. Now let me bring this thing home, not with a whisper, but with a roar that wakes something deep inside of you. There comes a point where you've got to stop shrinking for spaces you've outgrown. Stop apologizing for standards that protect your soul. Stop watering yourself down to be digestible for people who were never hungry for your purpose in the first place. This is the season where you stop explaining your calling to people who weren't on the line when God called you. They didn't hear it. They don't have to understand it. They were not in the room when your destiny was spoken into existence. Every great move of your life will require separation. Every version of you that is healed, whole, called, focused, it lives on the other side of a decision. I'm done being available for everything that doesn't align with where I'm headed. Because you can't keep giving access to what drains you and expect to walk in power. You cannot conquer your calling while babysitting your comfort. Let me tell you something, and I pray it gets into your